Yes, welcome my students to the chapter 5, nitrogen organic compounds. Introduction of this, okay, the objective of this lesson. By the end of this chapter, students should be able to, number one, differentiate between amines, amides, nitrile, amino acids according to the functional groups. Number two, to define amines. Number three, to classify amines into primary, secondary, and tertiary. Number three, to write the names of amines. First, we will talk about the introduction to this chapter. Amines or nitrogen organic compounds can be classified into 4 classes. The first one, we call them amines. And in the amines, we have 3 types. The first one, RNH2, it is primary amine. The second one, R2NH, it is secondary amine. And in the third one, it is R3N, it is tertiary amine. In the primary amine, we have only 1 alkyl group and 2 hydrogen atoms attached to the nitrogen atom. In the secondary amine, we have 2 alkyl group and 1 hydrogen atom attached to the nitrogen atom. In the tertiary amine, we have 3 alkyl group and no hydrogen atom attached to the nitrogen atom. The second class, we call them amides, or sometimes we call them amides. Okay, the functional group for them, it is RCONH2. So this is the general formula. The CONH2, it is for the unsubstituted amide. If you replace 1 hydrogen atom by 1 alkyl group, we call it monosubstituted amide because we have 1 alkyl group. If you replace these 2 hydrogen atoms by 2 alkyl group, we call them di-substituted amide. And now if you have a CONH2, CONH, or CON, all of them are amides. The third type, we call them nitriles. The functional group of the nitrile, it is C triple bond N, or you can write CN instead of C triple bond N, so all of them the same. Now the fourth type, we call them amino acids. In the amino acids, we have 2 functional groups, NH2 as amino group and COOH as a carboxyl group. So here we have all topics about the chapter 5. We start with the first one. They are called amines, or sometimes we call them amines. What are the amines? Amines are organic compounds, okay, which are derivatives of ammonia by replacing 1 hydrogen atom or more from ammonia by alkyl or aryl group. Now here we have the ammonia, so this is the ammonia. We have NHHH, so this is NH3. If you replace 1 hydrogen atom from ammonia by alkyl group, so 1 hydrogen atom from ammonia is replaced by alkyl group. So what remains here? It is NHH. So this N, it has 2 hydrogen atom. In this case, what you call it? Yes, it is a primary amine. If you replace 2 hydrogen atom from ammonia by 2 alkyl group, so in this case, we have 2 alkyl group and 1 hydrogen atom attached to the nitrogen atom. So in this case, what we call it? Secondary amine. If we replace 3 hydrogen atom, if you replace 3 hydrogen atom by 3 alkyl groups, so in this case, what we call it? Tertiary amine. So in the tertiary amine, there is no hydrogen atom attached to the nitrogen atom, and we have 3 alkyl groups. So what are the primary amines? The primary amines are amines that have, okay, the 2 hydrogen atoms attached to the nitrogen atom and 1 alkyl group only. So if you have 1 alkyl group, it means any carbon atom with, attached to the nitrogen atom, and there is 2 hydrogen atom here, so what we call it? Primary amine. If we talk about the secondary amine, what are the secondary amines? Secondary amines, if you have 2 alkyl groups, okay, and 1 hydrogen atom only attached to this nitrogen atom. So in this case, what you call it? Yes, it is secondary amine. What about the tertiary amine? The tertiary amines, we have 3 alkyl groups or aryl group and no hydrogen atom attached to the nitrogen atom. So we call this one tertiary amine. Here it is the example. Classify the following amines. So what is the type of this amine? Okay, we have the benzyl ring NH2. What do you guess here? Yes, you have 1 aryl group and 2 hydrogen atom attached to the nitrogen atom. So in this case, what you call it? Yes, it is a primary amine. The second one, we have 1 alkyl group and this is the other alkyl group and 1 hydrogen atom attached to the nitrogen atom. So in this case, what you call it? Yes, it is secondary amine. The third example here we have, this is alkyl group and this is another alkyl group and this is another alkyl group. So how many alkyl group here? We have 3 alkyl groups and no hydrogen atom attached to the nitrogen atom. So in this case, what you call it? Yes, it is tertiary amine. Now here the example, another example, yes, CH3, CH2, NH2. So you have to focus to the nitrogen atom. How many hydrogen atom attached to this nitrogen atom? So you have 2 hydrogen atoms. That means you have only 1 alkyl group. So in this case, what you call it? Yes, it is primary amine. Here we have 2 alkyl groups and 1 aryl group. So in this case, there is no hydrogen atom attached to the nitrogen atom. So what we call it here? Yes, it is tertiary amine. Now what about the last one here? Yes, we have 2 aryl group and we have 1 hydrogen atom attached to the nitrogen atom. So what we call it here? Yes, it is secondary amine. Now what about this one? Yes, we have nitrogen atom and only 1 hydrogen atom. So in this case, what we call it? Yes, it is secondary amine. If we have only no hydrogen atom attached to the nitrogen atom, so in this case, what we call it? Yes, it is tertiary amine. Okay, now here we have many, this is alkyl group, and here we have the longest chain. Just focus on what? On NH2. Where is NH? So this is N. How many hydrogen? So you have 2 hydrogen atoms. That means all of them. Yes, this one, it is R. What you call it? R or alkyl group. So what is the type of amine now? Yes, it is primary amine because we have 2 hydrogen atoms attached to the nitrogen atom. Now, the second type of the lesson, it is the naming of amines. Naming of amines, we have 2 types of the name. The first one, we call them the common name. The rule for the common name is the alk and YL amine. If you have alk, it means any carbon atom. Maybe it is meth, eth, prop, and so on. And then we have to write the suffix, it is amine for the name. But if you have 2 alkyl group are the same, you can write di if you have 2. You can write tri if you have 3. You can write tetra if you have 4 alkyl group, but you have the same alkyl group, so you have to write the prefix di, tri, tetra, and so on. Here we have the example. Before that, you have to know what does it mean alk. Alk, it indicates the carbon atom. How many carbon atom here? If you have 1, it is meth. 2, it is eth. 3, it is prop. 4, it is bute. 5, it's bent. 6, it's hex. 7, it is hept. 8, it's oct. 9, it's non. And 10, it is dic. So this is according to the carbon atom that you have. So this is the as a balance, so it is alk. Then what we have to add? YL. Then what we have to write? Yes, it is amine. So example here, we have only 1 carbon atom, and this is NH2. So how can you name it? So this is CH3NH2, one carbon atom. So we call it methyl. Then what we have to write? YL amine. Here we have two carbon atoms. So what is the two carbon atoms? We call them eth. Then write the Y and then amine. So it is ethylamine. Here we have three carbon atoms. So in this case, we call it prop. 3 because it is prop. And you have to add YL. So it is propyl. And then what we have to write? The word amine. Now here you have the cyclic compound. Okay, in the cyclic compound, you have to just write how many corners do you have. We have, this means carbon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbon atoms. So it is cyclopentyl amine. Why cyclo? Because this is as a cycle. So this is, okay, cyclic ring. And here we have the NH2. So we call it cyclopent because you have 5 carbon atoms and YL amine. That are for the primary amines. But if you have secondary amine like this one, this is secondary amine because you have, this is alkyl group and this is another alkyl group. So we have NH now. So in this case, you have to write the name for this alkyl group and the name for the other alkyl group, but you have to follow the alphabetical order. That means you have to start with ethyl, then what we have? Methyl amine. Why I start with ethyl? Because it's, you know, this is E before the letter what? M. So we write ethyl, then we write methyl, then we write the word, it is amine. What about this one? Yes, here it is 2 carbon atoms, and here we have another 2 carbon atoms. So this one, it is ethyl, and this is another ethyl. If you have 2 alkyl group and are the same, what we have to write? We have to start with di, then write ethyl amine. So it is ethylamine, and this is ethyl, and this is another ethyl, so we call it diethylamine. By the way, we can write it, this one, CH2CH3, CH2CH3. You can, you know, combine them as C2H5 by 2. C2, LH5, how many by 2? Then what we have? NH. Or you can write it C2H5, C2H5 and what? And NH. So they are the same. Here we have, this is methyl group, and this is methyl group, and this is another methyl group. So how many methyl group do we have? We have 3 methyl group. If you have 3, what you call it? We call it a trimethylamine. So tri, because this is 1, 2, 3. If you have 3 methyl group, we call them a trimethylamine. Now here we have different, you know, alkyl group. So this is, okay, well, how many carbon? 1. So this is methyl. How many carbon here? Yes, we have 2 carbon atoms, so it is ethyl. How many carbon atoms here? Also it is ethyl. So how many ethyl group do we have now? Yes, we have 2 ethyl. If you have 2, what we call them? Diethyl. Then what we have here? We have the methyl group. So this is what? Methyl group. And what we have here? The last word, amine. So we call it diethyl. This is methyl, then the word amine, because this is what? This is the amine group. Okay. Now the second type, it is the IUPAC name of amines. So IUPAC, what does it mean? It means International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. Sometimes we call it this systematic name. So in the rule, we call it aminoalkane. Look, in the common name, we said alkyl amine. But in the IUPAC name, we have to write amino, then alkane. So alk, it means number of carbon atom, it is the same, no different between them. Just write the suffix, it is ane. Okay, and you know the prefix, it is amino. Okay, here we have some rules for naming amines. The first rule, you have to determine or to choose the longest hydrocarbon chain. How many carbon? The longest chain, and then write the word alkane. Okay, the number, the longest chain from the side in which alkyl group or amino group takes the lowest number. So you have to choose the chain. You have to number the carbon atom from where? From the side in which NH2 takes the lowest number. So this is the second rule. The third rule, the other branches, if you have the other chains, so you have to write them as alk and then what to add YL, so as alkyl. And you have to indicate them by the number in which carbon atom also. Now the prefix, if you have branches on the nitrogen atom, so you have to write N, then write alkyl, then the longest what? The longest chain. So this is the rule, and we will discuss them as examples here. Now this is the example, CH3 and H2. So how many carbon atoms do we have? We have only one. What you call it one? Meth. So this is meth. Then the suffix is what? Is ane. And we have to write amino before it. So it is amino, methane, amino, methane. Amino because this is amino and this is what? Methane. If you have two carbon atoms, in the two carbon atoms we have amino, so this is amino. And how many carbon atoms do we have? We have two. So what we call two? It is eth, then write the suffix ane, so it is amino ethane. If we have three carbon atoms, in this case, if you have three carbon atoms, this NH2 may be in the terminal or maybe in the middle. So in this case, you have to number this carbon atom. If you have three carbon atoms and more, so you have to number these carbon atoms. So this is number one, number two, number three. Why number one? Because it is the closest carbon to the NH2. So the closest carbon to NH2, it takes the lowest number. So here it is one amino. What does it mean, one? One, it means at carbon number one, we have amino group. From the longest chain, it is propane. Here we have the same, structure as the previous one. Okay, how can you name it? It is the same. You have to count how many carbon atoms do we have. We have 5 carbon atoms, but they are as a cycle. If they are as a cycle, we call it cyclopentane and the word amino before them. So the prefix amino and the suffix, it is what? It is ane. And you have to number how many carbon atoms do we have. We have 5, so it is bent. Because they are as a cycle, that's why we write it what? Cyclopentane. So this is cyclopentane and aminocyclopentane. This one, the type of this amine, it is secondary amine. Okay, so you have to name this carbon, and this is these two carbons. But the rule said, the one that has less carbon atom, so this is this branch, it has less carbon atom, so you have to assign it with N. N, it means at nitrogen atom, we have this group, we call it methyl. So N-methyl. The one that has less, you have to write YL. And the longest chain, it is amino, this is amino, and longest chain, it is ethane. So N-methyl, amino, ethane. N-methyl, this is the methyl group, the one that has less carbon atom. You have to add YL for the L. Then the longest chain, you have to add AN. So the longest, the shortest one, it is methyl, and the longest one, it is ethane. So N-methyl amino ethane. What about this one? They are the same. Look, CH2, CH3, CH2, CH3. If they are the same, one of them you have to add YL, and the other you have to add ANE. So here we have N-ethyl, it means at nitrogen atom, we have ethyl group, and the longest chain, it is the same because they are the same number of carbon atoms. So one of them I add YL, so it is N-ethyl amino ethane, and the longest chain here it is what? It is ethane because they have the same carbon atoms. Okay, you can write it in this way or in this way or in this way. As I said, C2, this is CH2, CH3. We have 2 hydrogen atoms and 3 hydrogen atoms. So if you add them, they are 5. and this is C and C, so we have C2H5, and this is one, and this is another one. That's why we write it by 2, and here we have NH, or you can write it in this way. They are what? They are the same. Okay, here we have another example. So in this example, you have to determine the longest chain. What is the longest chain? The longest chain, we have 4 carbon atoms. Okay, can you number from the right side or the left side? You have to number this chain from the side in which NH2 takes the lowest number. So from right side 1, 2, it's at carbon number 3. From the left side, it is 1, 2. That's why I number it from left side. So what does it mean 2? At carbon number 2, we have amino group. So 2 amino, it means at carbon number 2, we have amino group. And this is the longest chain. What we call it? We call it butane. Okay, here we have CH2 by 6, NH2 right side and NH2 left side. So this is NH2 and this is also NH2. So this one CH2 6 times. If you have CH2 and you have any number, you have to repeat this number. Okay, so how many times do we have? We have 6 times. So this is CH2 6 times, and at carbon number 1 and at carbon number 6 we have amino. But this is amino and this is amino. So how many amino groups do we have? We have 2. That's why we start with di. Di, it means 2. So at carbon number 1, at carbon number 6 we have diamino, and the longest chain hex, so we call it what? Hexane, because we have 6 carbon atoms, and the suffix, as we said, it is a the suffix is ane for any what? For any names. Okay, now how about this compound? Yes, we have a lot of branches. Just determine the longest chain. What is the longest chain here? Yes, this is carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbon atoms. Now, can I number it from left side or from right side? Okay, as we said, here we have the 1, 2, 3. At carbon number 3, we have the amino group. But if I number it from left side, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you number from left side, NH takes what? Number 4. But I need the lowest number. That's why I choose the right, the right side, numbering from the right side as 1, 2, 3. Now at carbon number 3 we have amino, but we have a branch, and this branch, it is attached to the nitrogen atom. In this case we can say at carbon number 3 we have N-methyl, because this is methyl attached to the nitrogen atom. This methyl attached to the nitrogen atom, so we can write it N-methyl amino, but all of them at carbon number 3. So this one N-methyl amino at carbon number 3. We have another branch. What we call it? We call it methyl. So this methyl at carbon number 4. So we write 4-methyl 3N-methyl amino hexane, because at carbon number 4 we have methyl group. At carbon number 3 we have N-methyl amino, and the longest chain, it is hexane. Okay, these are about the aromatic amines. In the aromatic amines, it means you have the benzyl ring. The benzyl ring, you can write it like this one: double, single, double, single, double, single, and NH2. Or instead of this, this triple bond here, you can write it as a cycle, the same. Or you can remove all of them, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbon atom. And in each one here we have hydrogen, 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 hydrogen. They are removed, you can't see them. So that's why we write C6H5, then we have NH2. If you have C6 and H less than 6, so this is what we call it benzyl ring, and here we call it aniline. If you have NH2 attached to the benzyl ring, so in this case we call it aniline. Aniline, it is any figure of them, the same is they have the same name, aniline. Or you can say this is amino and this is benzene. Or you can say this is phenyl and amine. So we have three names, but the famous name, it is aniline. You have to focus in this one. It is aniline. But if you write aminobenzene or phenylamine, so it means any one of this figure. We have the last two common names. Here we have the pyridine and bipyridine. Pyridine, we have, this is like the benzene, but you have the nitrogen atom. Here we have 5 carbon atoms and a nitrogen atom. We call it heterocyclic ring. And here it is the same, but there is no bonds. Here we have only one hydrogen atom. So in this case, what we call it bipyridine. Now it is your turn for this one. Okay, how can you name this compound? Yes, this is in general for the lesson, for the naming. Now, can you name this one? Yes, how can you name it? Look, CH3, CH, CH2, CH3, how can you name this one? Yes, at carbon number 2, 1, 2, at carbon number 2 we have amino group, at carbon number 3 we have ethyl group. Why you count from this side, not this side? Because if you count from this side, 1, 2, 3, N at carbon number 4. But from left side, it is 1, 2. That's why I will have to number from the left side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At carbon number 3, we have ethyl group. And carbon number 2, we have amino group. And this is the longest chain, it is pentane. Now, how about this one? Yes, here we have the benzyl ring, NH, and here we have CH3. So look, CH3 attached to the nitrogen atom. So in this case, we call it N-methyl. And the benzyl ring with N, we call it aniline. So it is N-methyl aniline. And here we have this one, this is carbon number 1, this is carbon number what? Number 2. So at carbon number 2, we have methyl group. And the benzyl ring with the NH2, what we call it? We call it aniline. So up to here, thank you for listening.